c0ntact Gaming, their last chance might be looming, and they are going into Dust 2, a map which we sort of talk about, Vince, as a map you don't really want to be choosing, but FaZe Clan, they are an all-star lineup, and if anybody's going to be able to win on the puggiest map in the pool, it would be them. The fact is, though, they're facing off against a team with a lot of strong individuals, and I do sort of wonder, maybe if c0ntact Gaming can get rolling, they might still be able to survive in this tournament.
Yes, they absolutely could. Again, as you said, Dust 2 is not exactly a bastion of hope or a safeguarded map if you're FaZe. Another thing I'd like to add to the mix here as well is the Otto. When I first saw this guy, he was an absolute monster on Dust 2. It always felt like he performed on this map. So I want to see how he comes up against Brokey. I want to see a better performance because on Train, he was pretty quiet. He didn't get the AWP a great deal of times because of the economic situation constantly being broken. But let's see what happens. They're going to be starting on the CT side with FaZe occupying T's, 2 smokes and a flash. And again, they've gone for a couple of P250s.
It's definitely worth it when you're going for a long take. Don't want to be taking those battles with the Glocks. The flank already coming in, though. It's whether or not Esperanto can deny enough time. Bear in mind, I think Snappy said for the last 4 games they played, they got some like 3 pistol round wins or something ridiculous. It's not good, but this one might be going a little better. A first pistol round coming up for them in this series could be about to happen as finally they're getting themselves through. It's left onto Brokey, and c0ntact have broken the chain. It is a first pistol round in 6 maps.
And when you look at every map they've played so far at the DreamHack Masters, they've been 16-11, 16-12 plus. So you win a pistol, and you put a pistol into that, they actually could feasibly have won each of those maps. Now, I know that's like a big woulda, shoulda, coulda, and CS is one of those kind of games, but it just goes to show the impact that actually finally securing a pistol could have come the end of this map. Maybe this is the driving force as long as they can keep consistency. Now, FaZe have basically dipped out of this. They didn't get a plant. They didn't want to force in with Deagles and Tech 9s. They're playing for the bigger haul. Downside is they've basically got nothing to offer here in round 2. Surely c0ntact should be pulling the plug and making this a very comfortable round with no loss of life.
I realize it's actually what, like, it's more than that, isn't it? So you got 2 per half, and they've lost 6. So this was actually 7. This was the first they've won out of 7. But either way, it's something. It's a positive, is what we're trying to look at. I hope they don't lose this round to Bob. That would be as painful as it gets. But thankfully, Esperanto is there to mop up the frags. Sure, he's going to want to try and deny this bomb plant, and he will do just that. So 2-0, comfortable for c0ntact. An extra casualties, not too bad for FaZe, considering they invested into very little. And while now they get to come in with the rifles.
Yep, this is what patience affords them, and they can just get their hands on an AWP. Brokey had exactly $4,750, which is ideal for an AWP. Looked pretty close to connecting that shot. Didn't quite do any damage, though. Esperanto, 7 kills in the first 2 rounds. Like, sure, he did pad his stats somewhat and against the full eco, but he did a lot of work in the pistol. It was the last line of defense, but he's gone down after taking out Rain. A 1-for-1 trade. FaZe will happily take that, especially as it is the Lithuanian that falls and is prey to the aggression. Another smoke out, flashbang tossed into middle. It's all a ruse. The rest of FaZe now pushing through onto the site, and it's only Snappy here with an MP9. Nades now firing in, and oh, Wolof spins around and takes the head off of Snappy. I was sure he was a dead man. And just like that, the kill comes out, and c0ntact have to save.
That looked like a pure instinct reaction shot coming out of Olov, and while the bait was set, unfortunately, it looks like Snappy fell for it. So, yeah, as you said, it's just going to be the save. They managed to pick up at least an extra AK-47, and with their loss bonus of only 1,400, it actually won't be too bad. They'll be able to get a couple of extra gun in, and if they actually save everything they've got, they might actually end up with 5 rifles going into the next round. So, not really the end of the world for c0ntact. For FaZe, I'm sure they'd like to try and do some damage here, but at the same time, you don't want to see them overextend. Right? It's not worth the risk of your own economy to try and do damage onto c0ntact, especially a map that, well, it's not great, I would say, statistically for either side, but obviously FaZe have played a lot more matches and against a lot better teams.
do like that c0ntact at least made the disciplined call the second they lost B of just going straight into saving. Because it does allow them to go for a pretty solid buy here. They could have gone for maybe a little bit less firepower and supplemented that with utility, but Norm you can't really argue with alongside 4 assault rifles. Does put FaZe into a commanding position though. They can look to try and commandeer this map. Start to steer it away from c0ntact. Middle control could be prevalent. FaZe are already clumping up, and it's that man c0ntact who was really the spearhead behind so many of the rounds pushing in first. Ended with 27 kills. Very high rating. And c0ntact have given up middle. They're playing way more passively as a result of that.
Ooh, the nade is going to do so much damage. Catching over 100 and leaving at least some pretty low players. Of course, there's not much utility to be had, so to even do a little bit of extra damage here is something, but the fact is there's a lot more to be thrown in by the FaZe clan. Otto in a decent position, but again, it's a ruse. They're trying to bait them into a rotation. I think it's worked as well. Esperanto goes peeking into mid. He drops the bomb for a second, but now Spinks has to go ham. Being spammed through the smoke. They've also managed to take down a player looking to try and rotate. Bit of an awkward fight. And actually, c0ntact, he gets tagged from mid. Rigon drops the bomb again. And with only 30 seconds left, they have to go on a retrieval mission.
They have a smoke and a Molotov they can toss down towards the CT side. They both peek, and c0ntact tapping the head off of Rigon. We'll see Olof close it out in style. But I thought Rigon had done enough, and judging by the way you were building that up, Tom, so did you. It put it in such an awkward position with the bomb drop. Then they both wide swung. I'm not sure if there was a bad call on information or what, but it seemed a bit odd to me they both wide swung like that, Tom, honestly.
Well, we're back to pistols. As you said, it's not gone great, and it doesn't look like it's about to get any better. They set themselves up perfectly in that round, and eventually it just fell apart. c0ntact in position to at least try and stop anybody getting cheeky, but they're still going to try and push onto short. c0ntact is still waiting at the top of mid, and actually c0ntact going back for more. He's just taking the same shot again, and c0ntact gets that one for free. Esperanto also getting spotted now, and this round's looking very easy indeed for FaZe.
Yep, the pieces falling into place. Spinks maybe can get the drop on c0ntact, who seemingly has sussed this out, realized that was a possibility. So no loss of life. FaZe clan steamroll through with all 5 players alive. Otto yet to get off the mark, and I said before, he's typically going to be an absolute nightmare with the AWP. Well, their economy has been put in such rough shape, he is still yet to get his hands on one. He is still yet to get any frags. His ADR is very, very low, and as long as this continues, FaZe will have a huge advantage upon them. Brokey's had the AWP for multiple rounds.
Once again, we see a lot of early presence over towards the B side, but nothing really coming through for FaZe. They're just going to lurk back into middle. It seems like these slower defaults actually work out quite well for them, especially with c0ntact trying to get aggressive, trying to find picks. And as you said, with Otto struggling, that's not really been going particularly well. Then again, that seems to be the case for them in most of the rounds. Like, I expect a decent amount from their T side on maps, but their CT sides recently, I don't know. I just don't feel confident in them. I'm basically looking at one player and going, can you kill 3 people? And if the answer is no, then I just feel like FaZe are going to take the round.
Quick match update on the first stream as well, guys. Cloud9 were 15-4 in the lead. It's now 15-15 in the first map. They've let it slip back into the here and now. Into the here and now. c0ntact have themselves a 4-on-4. 33 seconds to play with. Molly extinguished. FaZe looking to press forward. Rain removes the head of Rigon. And in the process, the site has been raised. It has been dropped down by FaZe, who will plant for short. And c0ntact don't have many options available.
But you kind of see what I mean, Vince. Like, we sat there in this round. It seemed like they were going to be ready for that take. I feel like it was fairly telegraphed that FaZe were going in that direction. And when it comes down to the push, we're basically reliant on c0ntact to kill their whole team. Otherwise, this round isn't going their way. It's like, that just doesn't feel like it should be the case. And Dust 2 is a map where you have to be constantly proactive. Like, you're talking about if you try and go for long. If you get long, then you try and stick one player there, and then you maneuver yourself around to other portions of the map to try and deny control. If you fail to take long, then you go back and you battle for short. You're constantly trying to take different portions. If none of that works, then maybe you go for a tunnels push. At the moment, c0ntact are doing nothing. Like, it was Otto trying to fight mid. And then look at this. This is what I mean. c0ntact, that was the round there. He had to kill everybody with his aggressive push. Otherwise, there was no way they were winning the round. And that's in a 4v4. That's not even like it was, oh, it was a 2v4 situation. We've split our defense. That was a 4v4. So where's everyone else? Like, how have they not seen this coming? How have they not made any rotations? How do they not have any information? It just looks like their CT side is just like, okay, let's just sit still and hope they come to us.
There's a lot of good points. And if we do get a chance to have an interview with one of c0ntact's members, maybe something that we can bring up. Be very curious to pick their brains on it. I've noticed this over the last couple days. Heroic first and now FaZe. Snappy has the AUG, but everybody else will be on to pistols, and FaZe from strength to strength. Brokey watching middle, missing out on the opportunity to pick off one of the two players. You do decide to stick around, actually. Want to get a bit of aggressive plays coming in from Spinks. Now, we know he is quite the deagler, but getting double peeked by Rain and Kiabi will finalize his life. Snappy, though, back into action with one. This is where the one rifle could end up being a massive piece. And they bait out long enough for the player to wide swing 3-on-3. But honestly, if you ask c0ntact if they take a 3v3 to kick the round off with just an AUG, they would have bit your hand off. What can they do with it, though?
Yeah, in a much better situation. A little bit more proactive as well with the long control. And now, with the push coming in, it could be timing going wrong for c0ntact. He's still going to manage to spray down one. I thought he might get nothing there. c0ntact, though, not in the best of positions. Rocky trying to bait him in, and it's so clean with the deagle. It's left on to Snappy. AK retrieved. Question is, Vince, is he even going to go for this in the 1v2?
I mean, that is a good question. They can afford to buy into the next round, but it is an AK-47 and he has no kit. So I feel like the wise decision would be to save. Snappy's a smart guy. He's not interested. He wants to save instead. That does mean that FaZe, though, after losing the first 2 rounds, the pistol and the conversion have won the last 5 of their own. A couple of them have been fairly close, but by and large, it feels like FaZe have been dictating the pace. And now c0ntact, after calling a tactical timeout, have been unsuccessful. Here comes a buy, and I think Otto will finally have his hands on an AWP. It's been enough time. It's round 8. Let's see what you've got.
I'm not liking the fact that Esperanto currently has the same kills as the rest of the team combined. Like, we talk about this one being a sort of home of young talent, like a lot of individual skill, but at the moment, he got the most of his kills, I think, in the pistol and second round. So there's been very, very little to write home about if you are a c0ntact fan. And for FaZe, it seems like wherever they want to take, they normally get it for free. Nice shot, though, from Snappy. And finally, we see an actual, like, take. They battle for long. They take map control away from their opponents. It's what I wanted to see over the last few rounds, and it works very well. Yeah, sure, a little bit of luck with the shot through the smoke, but I don't think they're going to care. Now we see how FaZe react with a man down, because they are a team, as we've mentioned, with plenty of clutch capability. c0ntact's actually gone all the way around through mid, so they have all the information here. They have to know it's B at this point.
Now they certainly do. Spink spots c0ntact getting boosted. No stilts in Counter-Strike. Where one sits, another may follow. c0ntact through middle, now making moves. Oh, that spray. I tell you what, for a second, his heart was in his throat. Mine certainly was. But fortunately, he was against the AWP and not an AK, otherwise he would have been punished. c0ntact do convert, getting the first 2 picks pretty comfortably. And that's what we've been waiting for. That 5-round streak has come to an end, but FaZe Clan right back in with another bite.
Well, yeah, that's the question. It's like they've done it once. What now? Do they do something differently? Do they change up their play? Or are we back to the same static setup? And I like it. We're going back to more aggression. They're taking short control. In fact, they're going very far forward. I think it's Hurd, but nice shot from Rigon. He's going to pick off the head of Rain. They get the man advantage, and they do their best to fall back. And with the Incendiary in play, they will succeed. Now you watch FaZe trying to get themselves back into the round. And because of that, they fall to the AWP of Esperanto. Now, I wanted to see his AWP on Train. I think he has an underrated AWP. And so to see it in mid-dust 2 is definitely a positional choice. But again, they've got a 2-man advantage. And again, it's off being proactive.
I'm just so perplexed at how quiet Otto has been in this best of 3. It's been a player, maps like Train and Dust 2, where you expect him to shine pretty well. Been dulled down by FaZe. Now he is watching, though, the cross from Carr. And with FaZe being another 2-player deficit, you're going to have to be on point with their utility and their push. Smoke's coming out, one of which is utilized to drop down into CT spawn, but slightly off. There is a gap in there with a Molotov. They're skewed with the angle. In come the T's. Flash is proceeding the push, but nothing to stop Otto from getting them as they push across to the side. He misses the second shot. Gonna cost him, and Brokey also comes in with one, but there's Rigon. The Swiss player who had a bit of a lackluster performance on Train seemingly is making amends now.
It'd be nice, you know, if a Swiss player made a name for themselves. I can't think of any others in history other than that one dude who got carried by Kenny S.
Oof.
I think his name was Pim. Either way, it is going to be Esperanto with the AWP on the cross. And, hey, he's doing a pretty mean job with it. They should have got this in on Train. Tag me in. I know what we're doing. Actually, they've got an analyst. I can't even say that. I was going to say coach, and I was like, I don't want to try and challenge Neil M. I was going to say analyst, and I was like, actually, I like DGL as well. So I'll be coach too, which sounds like a really important job. 5-5. c0ntact, they've evened things up. They brought it back close, and, well, they're starting to look pretty good. Like, we've seen some individuals step up in the form of Rigon, who had a pretty poor first map. Esperanto as well, 14-5 last couple of rounds. Definitely looking like confidence builders. And now we start to look to the other side of the coin. Like, how are FaZe Clan going to turn the tide? Utility, a little bit minimal in this round, Vince. And while they're looking like they might just go for an aggressive play into B.
Yeah, it is a good way of subsiding some of the aggression that c0ntact have thrown out, that if they do like to try and push 2 players up middle or, you know, through catwalk, if you just hit straight up B, you can actually catch them completely off guard, and maybe just one player is there watching it. It will be Spinks with the AUG. We've already seen him do a pretty good job of holding this. Second flash was not good. It's done more harm than good. And now Spinks with 2. He finally goes down, but the damage has been inflicted so heavily by Esperanto's AWP again. That second flash from FaZe did pretty much wreck them, honestly. I'm not going to take anything away from Spinks or Esperanto's AWPing, but you see the second flash go in. First player out is Rain and Kirby, and they just can't see anything. They're just blinded.
Yeah, I wonder. So the flash looks like it's meant to go slightly past the wall, but I also wonder if it's possible that he just didn't look away from where it's supposed to land. Either way, whatever it is, miscommunication or just a poor flash, not good. Not good for FaZe. And yeah, you can't give players on c0ntact that sort of easy opener. It's only going to get worse from there. Gave them time for the rotation as well. And more importantly, just wrecked Rain, who's been pretty decent when it comes to the entry frag so far. Time on the clock, though. Minute 30. Pistols in play. Looking to try and do some damage. But over the last few rounds, c0ntact have been keeping it nice and clean. Building up some cash. Otto now with 8,600. Almost 10k for Esperanto. And honestly, this second AWP has been a game changer. The interesting fact is as well that it's given Otto the chance to move over to A, and Esperanto's almost taken the mantle off him to play mid.
Yeah, and when Esperanto's playing this well, it allows him to pull the strings a lot more across the map. He can rotate over to B easily, can rotate to A easily. And if he's playing this well, why not? I mean, Otto, he's been quiet. I mean, it sucks in terms of his stats. He's not going to look as good. People are going to be asking questions, but It's all about the win at the end of the day, not the individuals. Good headshot from Brokey with the Deagle. On the cross now, Otto's only picked up 2. He's now got 3 to his name, but down he goes to Rain. And the Deagles continue to connect. It will be a post plant. They finally break the curse of being shut down time after time. Rain with another one, Deag, and Esperanto jumps up with a Tech 9 frag, gets punished instantly afterwards, and the M4 spray finally gets its man. It's a chaotic round, a real odd one. FaZe get a plant, but c0ntact successful again.
That seems like an instant karma. Like, Esperanto gets a jumping Tech 9 headshot and then gets insta-dome straight back. You can almost see, he's almost cracking a grin. He knows what he did. He is exactly the kid you talk about, where it's like they do something and they don't get punished, and it puts a grin on my face to see him get punished, because that's just disgusting. 7-5, c0ntact 5-2 down, got themselves 5 rounds in a row. Probably not completely happy with how that round went, and after plant position, losing 3 players is not ideal. And now Kirby, he was the best player in the last map, has achieved very little in this one, and Rigon has come back kicking. He had a real rough time, but now he's starting to trounce the side of FaZe, gets himself up to 12 kills, and Olaf trying to get back through mid, find some space. Snappy already in play. Now it's possible the Spinks comes under pressure here. He's got the AWP on the B site. Push is coming through the window, but he's found the kill on the boost in play. Almost flawless round. In fact, it was a flawless round from c0ntact. Only a little bit of damage onto Rigon, and FaZe, I don't know what happened. 5-2 up, looking comfortable, dictating the pace, winning pretty much every clutch situation. Now we see Esperanto on 20 kills and they're getting bodied.
Only 6 deaths as well. Just phenomenal impact. That was a great call as well by c0ntact, by the way. They had 4 players on long, and FaZe decided to push in there. It was a little bit scrappy and disjointed. The 4 players with plenty of utility, and they were utterly destroyed on the approach. Excellent read of the situation. Esperanto. Confidence oozing through him. Aggression coursing through his veins with the AWP. Like, loves to peek everything. And why not? His reactions seem on point. Decides to pull back, though. FaZe taking some middle control, not for the first time. They have plenty of utility. Max round loss bonus coming up. Can they end in winning ways? Because, really, when I saw FaZe pick up 5 in a row and it was 2-5, I honestly thought that this was just going to get into that realm of becoming just a complete and utter dismantling again, just being decimated over and over again. So I'm very impressed that c0ntact has picked it back up again. And Snappy gets the better of Olofmeister. It's not the AWP in mid, it's the M4 this time that comes out better for c0ntact. And now Rigon will be faced off against multiple players. To even get one there's pretty impressive. Unfortunate for Otto. He flicks across, but it's just the leg shot onto Kirby.
Yeah, he is very much the bridesmaid, but never the bride. Like, he's doing damage, he's getting there, but he's not getting the stats to go across with it. They're going to try and run boost past this because they don't have a smoke, and it didn't work. They've dropped the bomb. I think it might actually be retrievable, though. That, probably not quite what they meant. I don't think they wanted to sacrifice one of their players to get the bomb down, but it does give Rain a chance. Now, again, fantastic in the first map, almost deadly silent in this second. A clutch might get the win back in their sails. But a 1v3, and he's getting pushed already. I don't even think he realizes. A couple of flashbangs coming up. Not going to be left blind. First shot connected. Does some damage onto Spinks, but Spinks will come running through. And a 9th on the board for c0ntact. This is now a streak of, what, 7 rounds in a row, I want to say?
Yes, it was 2-5, and now 9-5. So 7 rounds in a row to c0ntact, and FaZe seemingly running out of steam and ideas. I don't want to take anything away from c0ntact because they've played sublimely. But it does seem to me, Tom, that as soon as FaZe ran into that blockade with a couple players performing well in middle, the likes of Esperanto, they just didn't really have a plan B or any ideas like what they can do to adapt to it. Rain, though, gets the freebie onto Snappy, who decides to peek in, but Spinks is right back in with one of his own. 4-play-4.
Well, they finally shut down Rigon. He's been pushing that an awful lot, and it looks like pressure might be coming here onto Otto. Still playing an aggressive stance, and this time he lands the shot. Looked like it was his time to shine, but the second doesn't quite land. Esperanto, though, there's no way you'd expect him to be here. Two orcs both playing A. That's a weird one. And Cold0 lurking out long puts it back in their favor. Spinx gets shut down through mid, and we end with a 9-6 half. Still much to be desired for FaZe Clan, but it's not out of the realms of possibility.
I left you in the morning, and I didn't know if I would ever see you again, 'cause I didn't get your number. So I left you sleeping, put a written note on your bed. But you're really under my skin. I don't know where to begin. Could go back to yesterday. Underneath the sheets, and I keep on replaying the night with you. Underneath the sheets. I wonder, will you call me? My mind is going in circles, can't stop thinking of you. When the feeling isn't going, I'm looking for distraction, nothing's getting me through. When you're really under my skin. I don't know where to begin. I wish I could go back to yesterday. Underneath the sheets, and I keep on replaying the night with you. Underneath the sheets. Could go back to yesterday. Underneath the sheets, and I keep on replaying the night with you. Underneath the sheets.
Welcome back. c0ntact had the better of the first half. It could have easily been a landslide for FaZe, but Esperanto had other ideas. 22 kills and 7 deaths. A lot of them were static AWP frags. Not sure he'll be able to emulate that now that they go on the T side. But the way he's been playing, Tom, I know you're a big fan of his. I wouldn't write it off. I definitely wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, I'd probably go ahead and say #1 fan. Like, I do own one of 3 crazy jerseys that exist with his name on them. So, you know, if someone can compete with that, then all for it. I can't get a c0ntact one because they don't exist. But Cold0, he is waiting at the back of the site. Nice nade from Kirby, and he's going to flash back in. A perfect flash to hold them off as well. I don't think they're going to be improving their pistol round percentage anytime soon, although Snappy comes flying down from above. Spider-Man jump to get him into position, and although his senses may have been tingling, unfortunately, he can't quite stop the FaZe train.
Second junction, they couldn't stop it. That juggernaut just kept on going. Started with some really nice USP work from Kirby and Rain, and finished off full circle by the Norwegian again. He moves on to 9 kills. He had a very good first map. Kirby has gone from 27 kills on Train to just 5 on Dust 2, so he's had a real fall from grace. And maybe on this CT side is where he starts to awaken. coldzera playing with his food, needs to be careful. A deagle shot whizzes past his head. That'll give him food for thought about re-peaking anytime soon. So perches up with his FAMAS. And now, c0ntact have Esperanto just outside of the long doors. It seems like their final destination will be on A. They need Esperanto to get this pick and to try and rummage around the back of long to keep some of these players interested. Brokey is still there. The second that any footsteps are heard, any kind of a push comes into effect, he can easily turn around and bolster up that A play. And that's what's happening now. So Esperanto, how is your luck? Meanwhile, the push is coming out towards Catwalk. No one checks the close angle on boxes, but Rain only gets 1. I genuinely thought he was going to do better, and now Esperanto doesn't necessarily need to push through long doors. He still gets the headshot anyway. It's all falling apart for FaZe.
Yeah, luckily they've got Cold, though, and he is going to bring one back. Yerby sneaking his way through, and there's still a battle for long. Like, Esperanto may be low, but just his presence here alone is enough. Otto just about wins the duel, but now the time becomes a problem. It is going to be Brocky. Well, I'm not sure that Esperanto's really going to mind that frag going in the other direction. His tally's high enough, and he's basically stopped the Latvian getting anywhere near this site. So it's going to be a force by victory. As said, this is something that c0ntact are so dangerous at. And I am starting to wonder if we're going to see the Tech 9 used more and more, because the more I watch it, the more BS it seems to be still.
Oh, it's certainly deadly. There's no two ways about it. Gives you that run and gun style. If you can't quite manage the Mac 10, go for the Tech 9. I do think, though, that going back into that round, and it pains me to say it because I think Rain's had a really good best of 3, but he should be doing better from that angle. They didn't check him initially. I feel like that should be 2 kills, and the fact that he goes 1 for 1 and that's an assault rifle at Trade's hands that early on in the confrontation, that actually pretty much cost FaZe the round. So these are like little small incremental problems that are starting to build into a much larger one. Brokey can't quite push as I think he wanted to initially because of the Molotov. But coldzera and his scout maybe can thread the eye of the needle, narrowly misses out, gives a warning shot to c0ntact. They were thinking about pushing simultaneously through middle. Olaf bypasses the Molotov, taking the head off of Snappy. But Otto at range is delivering with the AK. Taking a little bit of damage, Esperanto shows his hand, but Olaf with the Deagle's going to get another 1 deke. And now can pick up the M4 and keep the T's at bay on the site. There is another player through middle, which is Spinks, who should be finished off by Olaf, but he gets another headshot and survives to lift the tail. That's an unreal play from Spinks. I have no idea how he survived it, but they have moved 11-7 in the lead.
Yeah, I feel like it was one that was needed as well, because if you look at the position of the bomb, it was still all the way outside long. So if Spinks dies there, either his teammates have to run all the way back round through the A site, all the way through long, and that's assuming that FaZe don't either push further up top mid or look to try and retake the A site. Either that, or they just have to run in and try and kill the remaining players as Spinks did. So an important play, an impactful play, and well, look what it's done to the FaZe economy. They'll stuck up around mid and B, leave the A site nigh on open, and Rigon has already gone pushing. The rest of the team, though, look like they might be about to push into the blender.
Just the USPs to contend with. Some headshots have connected, but nothing that's yielded any frags as of yet. Down goes Brokey, and Kirby, who's still perched on top of the boxes on B. Just going to be chilling out and maybe running over some strats. But this round is done. It will be a 5-round lead now. c0ntact looking very good on their T half. And it's a real far cry as well, Tom, from that Train performance on FaZe. It feels like quite a few players have seemingly just gone a bit silent. A little bit eerily quiet for my liking.
But that is the weird thing about this series, is it's like, it's almost like a 10-man. Like, it's like, or even a game of, like, I don't know, rank S or something like that. Like, you've thrown 10 players together and you're seeing who performs. And from map to map, that's going to differentiate. It's why you don't have a player necessarily that's going to win every single game in those leagues. It's normally like up and down, and maybe if you get a bit lucky with teammates. But it's just like at the moment, in the last map, Kirby was easily the best player. Now they go into their map choice, and they're losing almost every single duel, and that's the difference. Like, there doesn't seem to be a backup plan. Then again, though, he can always rise back up. There's still time for them to turn this tide, and well, a big multi-kill like that, a denial of the push into the B site, and c0ntact, a 2v4 situation. Money's still good for the next round, so even damage here would be worth it. I expect them to go for it. But what can they do here? Can they find a piece of the puzzle that might not be in the right place?
You check under the couch, underneath the kitchen chairs, maybe.
How do you do your puzzles?
I don't. I don't have the prerequisite IQ, mate.
Just tips the box onto the floor, pieces fly everywhere.
Yeah. Done it. Completed. On to the next one. Esperanto's got an entry, but that's going to be short-lived. And now it's down to the Finn. With a molly and control of the bomb, Plant should be forthcoming. He may get peaked just before he finalizes it. In the last couple of milliseconds, coldzera shows his hand, and we'll trade up to the AK just in time. c0ntact, though, plenty of money. Go back in for another buy, but FaZe Clan back into winning ways. Have their hands on an AWP. They can maybe start to get some rounds back-to-back. This play from Kirby, though, was huge. Those 2 kills were so vital for their comeback trail.
Again, though, I'm getting the same flashbacks to the problems I initially looked at from c0ntact, where it's not like we're seeing too many like proper setups to take map control. You're relying very heavily on individuals. So like in the last round, coldzera almost single-handedly took long. Now they've done it similarly and put another player in place. You relied heavily on Kirby to get a double kill on the B site. Otherwise, that would have easily been a plant and an after-plant position for c0ntact. So again, this still looks like a very, very puggy match. And I think if c0ntact even just start winning some of their duels, get the openers, that could be enough to close out the game. Rain, though, he is going to be spotted, but Otto not quite quick enough on the trigger to take him down. Again, there seems to be a severe opening towards this A site, with Rain trying to deny them using utility. And there is still Brokey here with the AWP. Again, yet to have the performance that we'd want to see from him, which might be a slightly unreasonable expectation with Nico leaving the roster, but I want to see this guy thrive.
As do I. As do I. I do have concerns whether FaZe have it within them to start to play aggressive, as you saw c0ntact do in the latter stage of the first half when things weren't going well for them, to just mix it up. Rain, though, is stuck at the backside of the site. There's a Molotov right next to him. The flick from Brokey is good. May get peeked again. Needs Rain to come good, and he does. He holds it down. And Brokey quickly activates behind, shutting out the flanking Rigon. Now the bomb will go down successfully, but all the rest of the T's have been barraged by bullets. And FaZe Clan will have another successful retake, and only at the cost of 2 lives. So they can replenish those guns, no problems, no questions asked. Again, though, the A site, you have highlighted it a couple of times, Tom. It does feel like it's a little bit weaker than B. I'm not sure if c0ntact are going to be able to make the most of it, though.
Well, yeah, they're reliant again on like their individual players. Like Brokey, good round. I think some of the flashes he threw also denied the push initially. So the fairly basic stuff when it comes to us too, but it's exactly what they need at this point. And yeah, I'm not feeling necessarily comfortable. Again, one player is going to be the initial battle for long. The others were a little bit further behind, but I guess for Olof, he gets the refrag. That's all that really matters. He's made sure they hold on to the control and maybe caught by a flash or maybe just trying to avoid them. They've done enough. The problem is, again, there needs to now be a reaction. They've got that initial control. The T's have gone into middle, and Brokey, he switched his position up and gained them an extra frag. See Snappy now manning the AWP after the loss of Otto. You mentioned again another quiet character in this battle, and Esperanto, that's the exact kill he needed. The incendiary will cook him down a bit, but he gets the plant off. However, he's going to need his in-game leader of Snappy to at least get a kill on this short spot.
Oh, the Dane puts the bullet in the head of Kirby, losing health in the process, but at least puts them into a 2-on-2. Another Molotov down. Snappy having a quick check over CT. He can hear the footsteps, but his teammate Esperanto's been put down. Smoke out into the open. Doesn't do a great deal for Snappy, all things considered. It was more for his teammate to survive, and there's Brokey on the cross. They have a kit, they have the time, and they have a 10th.
Yeah, he's started to have some pretty high impact kills over the last few rounds, which I think is solid. And actually, c0ntact are going to take themselves a tactical pause. One that I think is needed. They've started to almost stagnate a little bit. And that's the problem. Reinventing yourself on Dust 2 is very difficult. Everything's been seen before. I guess we saw recently a couple of smokes that came back in where you can smoke off the cross on long from mid, which works as a pretty good fake. Those were cool, but other than that, most of the time, you're just going to see the same things rinse and repeated. So you almost have to try and firstly work those entry kills, but more importantly, try and work out what sort of stack plays your opponent are going for. Now, FaZe, in the early portion of the last few rounds, have sent 2 to 3 players long. If that's something they're going to consistently do, c0ntact need to react and either go for a hit in towards mid/B or try and take short control. And it looks like FaZe are going to do exactly the same thing again. So this is now 3 rounds in a row where they have initially stacked this position. And again, we're seeing the exact same push out, but with a slight change. They're going to try and rush up short at the same time. However, Brokey is already back in position by this point, and he's just styling on them. Only pistols against him, and the Latvian is just rocking their world. 12 to 11. FaZe, they confirm their lead, or not their lead, their comeback, I guess. For the T's, I'm starting to get a little bit worried.
Yeah, I mean, if they keep pushing A like this, it will start to confirm their lead. Absolutely, because FaZe are in such good form right now in these last few rounds. Locking it down, Brokey's landing pretty much every single shot against him. I want to see c0ntact do something drastically different. You don't have to reinvent the wheel necessarily, but at least try and fake and poke and probe FaZe into awkward positions. Try and get picks before you start to make those plays. Try and get them out of their spots in rotations. Catch them in transition. That's a hell of a way to make it start, though. But then Otto doesn't do his due diligence, doesn't check his angles, and he gets punished. So all of the early exceptional work that Esperanto has put into place again has been nullified. Rain with the spray, and Coldzera's trying to peek in just below the smoke. Brokey, aggression, hiding behind the staircase. It's not a spot that FaZe have played too often. There's one, enough time to reposition and getting 2. That is massive from Brokey again. And a molly just behind it will stop the push from coming in unless they smoke it off, which they have.
Oh!
Esperanto, that spray transfer is a thing of beauty. And now FaZe have a 1v2, and Kirby has to clutch out.
It's turned into the battle of the Baltics. Brokey on one side, Esperanto on the other, and Kirby is not going to check his angle. It's the 30 bomb for Esperanto. Honestly, at this point, Vince, do you know what team I dream of? Like, I think most people from England, they go like, oh yeah, I'd love to see a UK team at the top. I want to see a Baltic team. Like, I sort of mentioned this slightly yesterday, but I'm just thinking of like a Rops, Brokey, Esperanto, BMAS, maybe a solid in-game leader to try and lead them through. I think that team would have so much firepower. Maybe completely awful in terms of things, but, you know, a man can dream, and I think it's awesome.
No, I agree. I think there's so many players from that region that could be put into place. And speaking of Esperanto, by the way, speaking of the Baltic, he is straight up bulldozing through FaZe Clan, and they got the first kill onto Otto as he pushed out, and then Esperanto came alive. The guy is just absolutely destroying, dispatching FaZe Clan.
Yeah, when he used to play in the small Lithuanian leagues, he was reported regularly for cheating. I would know because I casted those matches, and a lot of people thought messaging me would make a difference about it. Turns out, dude's just nuts. And will destroy even the players at the very top of their game. Kirby, though, Brokey, they've responded. They've left Esperanto to make a play, and he's actually just going to cross. The problem is the bomb's still behind. They're going to try and throw it over, but it hasn't gone the full way. Getting this might be a little bit risky, and I think he's just about gained it. This is risky in itself from Esperanto. Looking to peek back in with the bomb. Instead, Snappy trying to support, but he's got to be careful. There is a player towards long, already looking to make a move. He spotted him, but Esperanto's now gone down. It's up to the Dane to try and hold on, and he gets nothing done. A solid round coming out from FaZe. Kirby with a couple. And they're going to get themselves back to 13-11. The problem I'm starting to see, though, is this has just turned into one of the hardest carries ever. Like, we thought that the last map was that sort of match where we were going, oh, Kirby, he's doing a lot for his team. Esperanto literally has double the kills of anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even in the last map, it was like, you know, Kirby had 27 kills, Rain had 25 or something, so it was the two of them sharing the burden. This is literally just Esperanto. This is the Esperanto show. First half, his AWPing was miraculous. Second half, his AK entering has just been sublime. So he can do everything. Unfortunately, there's no supporting cast. And that needs to change quickly, because as soon as he dies, it feels like any firepower they have goes with him. He's been in so many clutches, so many situations where just one thread of help could have been the difference. This map could have been over already. And how many times we said that already about c0ntact? Rain, though, positioned up close on middle, gets one before Otto will shut him out. A 1-1 trade, not too bad, and Brokey misses his chance. That could have been the moment that sees FaZe take control over the round and potentially the map as well. But instead, c0ntact facing elimination, fighting their hardest to get back into this match, now have a beeline towards the site. They have to contend with the Brazilian of c0ntact, and Rigon puts him down with the AK.
This might end up being a save call, but with Olof finding one back in, Esperanto gone, and Push looking to come back in onto this A site, they have a real chance in this round. Smoke will fall. Looking like he might push through it. The spam coming through. Otto's actually just going to peek in and take down Kirby instead. Now, CT's, I think, realizing the time is ticked. He goes jumping down. A bold attempt. Money isn't great as well for c0ntact. It's not like they're rolling in the moolah. But the fact is, taking down an extra kill could have been very damaging. The CT side as well. The cash isn't amazing, but they might be able to scrape a buy in the next round.
Those finances then, shall we? 2 saved guns. They may have to force anyway though here, Tom, because $1,500 is always a pretty brutal place to be on the CT side. And this was the play on the site. Rigon with some very important frags. Otto gets Kirby. I think Kirby assumed that Olof was already pushing through short and maybe didn't realize it was smoked off. So he was very vulnerable and susceptible to getting sideswiped. And keep in mind that FaZe, eyeing up a potential of playing for overtime, can't justify going for a force. I'm surprised with 1,500. They decide to go aggressive into tunnels instead. And c0ntact with a USP of all guns puts down Rigon, can trade up to his assault rifle, and with Olofmeister on the back of the site and is smoked down perfectly, he can now use that to his advantage. But Otto was a step ahead. He anticipated that peak, puts down Olofmeister, alleviates some of the pressure, and opens up business towards the site. Brokey on Gandalf, waiting to try and show himself in amongst all of the chaos that c0ntact. He's distributing with his deagle. Kirby now headshot onto Otto, and there goes Brokey. Snappy 1-on-3 must be wondering how this came about, how he's up against the world. The bomb is planted for his location. Oh, that one tap is beautiful onto Brokey. There's no kit between the two of the players either. He may be able to finalize this one. And then meanwhile, they're trying to bait him out into the open, wait for his bullets to deplete. Is there going to be enough time? They stick on it. They've got a kit. FaZe will successfully get the defuse. They can breathe a massive sigh of relief. And c0ntact must be in shambles.
I want to see whatever Cole did when he was coming in. So this kill was one of them, but then he gets a D kill. What? I thought it was a load of rubbish, but what is that straight? Just shoot straight through the smoke. You've got to be pissed if you're on the other side of that. Oh my God. Well done to production for catching it. Because I was thinking, in the middle of all of that, you just see a smoke kill come in. It's like, I don't know what he did, but I know that it was probably BS.
Whew. Man, there's a hell of a game on the first stream. And you've got a hell of a game kicking up and shaping off here on the second.
Are they still
c0ntact? Yeah, it is. It's 23-23. I don't know if that's updated on HLTV, and obviously I think there's a bit of a delay for what we're saying, what the audience sees. So by the time you hear this, maybe it's already over. But considering that was, what, 15-4, I think, at one point, like, it's kind of insane. Brokey, though, opening his account in round 28, trying to get FaZe back into this. And keep in mind that c0ntact went for a full-on purchase. They concede this round, they will have very little money to play with. This is a fulcrum point. This is potentially elimination on the line.
Yeah, I hate to see Esperanto only with the deagle. Like, don't get me wrong, he's fantastic with it, but he's been your best player. I don't know why he... Okay, maybe not. Maybe he's just going to walk in and insta-1D Brokey. Who cares then? If he does that, I don't think they're going to mind. Rotation's in faster, and Rain, he's managed to hold on to this back corner. It makes things pretty awkward for the T's to get a strong after-plant position, and in fact, they're trying to clear him out before they do so. Rigon, he's had a real resurgence from the last map. And Otto, he's starting to make a comeback as well. It's looking like the 15th is theirs. A risky force buy, but a risk converted. As FaZe now sit back on their own map choice with little money and a choice to make. And the choice is, you know what? We're going to give Brokey the AWP, and he's going to rock our world.
He did kick off the round with an opening pick. And then again, it was A site. I don't remember B site being attacked here, Tom. I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like every single round for c0ntact has been A. At least 90% of them. And that's why Rigon takes the head off of Rain. They can now charge towards the site. And this time around, FaZe may have assumed that that B hit was incoming. They guessed incorrectly. They've got to scamper over there and try and save this map. Their choice of map. There's Spinks now coming up clutch, up close with the M4. Throwing in the Molotov, and Rigon is doing all the damage around him. You have Olof stuck in the smoke. I don't think that grenade necessarily bounced off him, so they may not anticipate that he's in here, but he's now the last chance they have. Bomb is being dropped down from Olof P250. He's gone in for another one, but Esperanto is going to convert, and it's fitting it's Esperanto, because he just had potentially the performance of his career.
He's had many of those maps, Vince. I like the sort of maybe slight exaggeration, but yeah, it was one hell of a map nonetheless. Like, we've seen him do this on the major stage. We've seen him do it against top teams before, but it's been few and far between. Of course, he is ecstatic, as you can see on the cams, where he just sits back in his chair and looks like it's another day at the office. This is also the man that's told me that he doesn't have that much skill anymore. So I'm calling straight BS on you, Esperanto, again for about the 15th time in your career. But an incredible map, one that I'm sure that they're going to want to play off of. And now we head into a third map of Nuke, where I think both teams will see this as a middle ground. Of course, both teams now taking their opposition's choice, Vince. And let's be real, neither of us know where this is going. We're going to have to break this down in a few moments. So we'll have a little bit of time to think and try and come up with a reason why they both just lost their own map choice. Well, we're going to get a decent highlight reel here for Esperanto, who had an absolute lights-out performance. And, well, you know what? I think it was needed, Vince. After the first map, we were looking at players like Kierby and saying, you know what? They're dominating. Rigon had a rough match. But although we had a lot of other players from that side step up, there was only one man leading the charge.
Yeah, leading the charge by a long distance. Rigon definitely had a resurgent performance, which is great to see because he was a player that we both highlighted as being a bit disappointing. He had 22 kills. Esperanto had 34 kills, 108 ADR, a 1.67 rating. That is absolutely absurd. And at a stage in the game where he is literally saving his team from elimination at a tier 1 event at DreamHack Masters. It doesn't get much better than that from Esperanto. That is an incredible world-class performance.
And that's the thing, like, this is why we talk about when we look at c0ntact and say, well, like, maybe if you get a few more supportive players, or you look at it and go, okay, but could he fit into like another team? Because that was always the thing that was surprising to me. As said, I'm biased. I own an Esperanto jersey. Let's put that out there to start with before people going, oh, it's not even that good. I've always seen him have potential to be in like a team like a Mouse Sports or something like that if he could get under a good in-game leader. Now he seems to have that in-game leader of Snappy, but it doesn't seem like necessarily the Snappy has changed a massive amount just yet. Like, you sort of look at it and go, okay, they're still playing this very puggy style. And I do wonder if maybe it's stubbornness or like a few other players are yet to really implement things, or just the fact that they keep changing the roster, Vince. Like, they've had so many different players within this team. Maybe they just need some time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be very difficult to get consistency when you have multiple IGLs, new players coming in the mix. Every single time a new player comes in, things can drastically change. So it's hard to adapt and overcome that. But no one's ever doubted Esperanto's skill. No one's ever like really doubted his individual acumen. I think the issue with him, and something you touched on before, sometimes maybe an emotional aspect comes into play. So maybe he does need that kind of tutelage and that leadership of someone that's going to keep him calm, that's going to keep him hyped, that's going to keep him focused. Maybe that's what he needs more so than an IGL that puts him in specific positions. He needs more of a mental aspect of an IGL.
Yeah, just keep giving him compliments, guys. Like, send him nice messages. Be friendly to Esperanto. Maybe he'll reward you with some crazy kills like that. Because, yeah, when he's on point, as said, biased, but there's not a player in the world I would rather watch. Like, when he has his out-and-out games, there isn't one. Just because it's so enjoyable, and the things that he does just makes absolutely no sense. That I think he can compete with the best of them. And talking of individual players, you look at the likes of FaZe, and they have got depth. Brokey was there. He was on point. He was hitting AWP shots. And on the other side of things, Otto was quiet. In fact, missing a few that we wouldn't necessarily expect. So going into Nuke, this is where things become very interesting, Vince, because I have no clue where this is going.
I'm right alongside with you, man. And I think that was part of the attraction and the allure of this game coming into it, right? Is we didn't really know what to expect. I feel like what we've just seen hasn't really answered any more questions, because we've seen the Dr. Jekyll miss the hide on both teams. Which side are we going to get on Nuke? Are we going to have both teams really performing? I hope so. If they do, this is going to be an incredible map of Counter-Strike.
Well, Vince, there is only one way to find out. We have witnessed both teams now take each other's choices. Train, it looked like it was possible, but it never really happened for c0ntact. On the next map, Esperanto led them to a victory on Dust 2. Now we have to head into Nuke. Both of these teams are one map away from potentially making it through to the next stage or heading home after elimination. After the break, it will all be decided.